think everything is ready now. Let's see. That's off, that's off, that's off, that's off, that's on, that's on. Alright, I think it's all ready. Then let's go. Hello! Shadowcat back, and already I'm up to a great start this morning. I was trying to get everything ready, I was trying to get the stream going, and it just will not come up in YouTube, and I don't know why. I try refreshing it, I try re-navigating to it, I don't know, it's not coming up. Turns out, I forgot to turn the stream on in OBS. That gives you an idea of exactly how my morning has gone so far. I am just completely not here. Except that I am here. And so, you're all going to have to deal with this. Congratulations! I am now your problem. But that's okay. We're going to get into it. We're going to have fun. I have a lot of things to get to, and so let's go ahead and do that. But before we do, of course, don't forget, if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon. That way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who's also into Pokemon or tabletop games like Starfinder, Pathfinder, then share it with them. But if you like me, you like what I'm doing so far, you know, in all of, like, what, 2 minutes? Have I been here for 2 minutes? Go ahead and leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below. If you're going to go ahead and leave a comment, though, might I suggest go ahead and join the Discord, because we have one of those. And if you want to play with us, you're going to have to. So join the Discord, especially go to the Behind the Screen channel. Let me know what games you'd like to play, what your availability is, and as soon as I have enough people for a game, we'll get one started. Alright, so, we're going to get into this. Before I do that, we'll go to the chat first. I see that Blizz is here. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you. I see that Alden is here. Hello, Alden. Good to see you, too. You say that you're busy with something. You'll be popping in and out. It should be fine. Should be fine. I don't know. We're going to get into a lot today. I'll see that JP is here. Hello, JP. Good to see you. And before we get into breeding and IVs and all of that, we'll do a quick little recap what we did last time. And for that, we'll have to bring in our browser, which is not resized. It's all right. I can fix that. There we go. That looks better. We'll have to bring in our spreadsheet, and we'll take a look at the things that we were doing last time. Which was a lot of... We didn't really go through a lot of things. We solidified a lot of things last time. I think is the better way to put it. So, we went through EVs last time. Now, EVs are effort values, and they're basically how you train up your Pokemon. Now, the Pokemon games have their own system for doing that, and it's a decent system, except it's overly complicated because they have a computer to do all of this for them. We don't. And so we have simplified it, but done our best to keep the spirit. And the basic way it's going to work is the same way that I thought about that when we started this. Is that instead of gaining points every 4 levels like we would normally do, Pokemon will gain a point every time they level up. And you are allowed to put that point wherever it is that you want it to go. And this represents your training for your Pokemon. And you can do it however exactly you want to do it. If you want to put all your points into strength, you can have a total power tank. If you want to put them into intelligence, you can have a caster, essentially. I mean, they don't really have magic, but the idea is the same. Intelligence is going to be your special attack. You can put it all into speed, you can put it all into defense, you can put it all into a lot of things. Either way, you'll be able to train up your Pokemon the way that you want to be trained. It's going to be a lot simpler than the way it would normally be done, but simpler in this case is good. Because if were we to do it the way it's done in the other game, it would take just forever to train anything. So, yeah, that's how that's going to work. So what are we doing today? Well, today, we're going to be covering breeding and IVs. Now, I don't do any work on these between sessions. It would kind of invalidate the entire point of doing the stream that we do. However, I can't stop myself from thinking about some things, and so I already have ideas about how this is going to work, breeding is going to be super, super simple. And anybody who is familiar with Punnett squares, you're going to get it. Okay? And if you're not familiar with Punnett squares, you will be by the time we get done. No, you might not be. I'm not going to go into actual Punnett squares. But just trust me, I've done enough of them in my entire life to last 3 lifetimes. They're good, don't get me wrong. They absolutely model what they're supposed to model, but they are terribly boring. It's basically just a way to map out every conceivable combination of genes when you're talking about sexual genetic recombination. And it has to be sexual recombination as opposed to asexual, because asexual is just going to be clones. That's all there is to it. You can't really get genetic variation when there's only one parent. So we're going to make sure that we have genetic recombination, and then we have to figure out exactly how we're going to work in IVs, because IVs have to do 2 things. Number 1, they have to be transferable from parent to offspring, and they have to be scalable depending on how you're raising your Pokemon. And so we'll get into a lot of that. I'm sure that I will be corrected a great deal on that, because IVs are probably going to be incredibly complicated. I think we even looked at them last time. Did we? Did we not? We might have. I'm going to look up IV here. Oh, it's not intrinsic value, it's individual value. Close enough. So we'll look into these a little bit, but already I think you can get the idea of why we're going to be just redoing this. So HP equals base 8 or base plus DV. I forget what DV is. Times 2 plus the absolute value of the square root of state XP divided by 4 times the level over 100 plus the level plus 10. That's for HP. For every single other stats, it's base plus DV times 2 plus the absolute value of the square root of the state XP divided by 4 times level over 100 plus 5. Yeah. And Alden says, you can consult my long-ass explanation from last week for a refresher. Yeah, I might actually just do that, because that's a really good idea. But we're going to be covering this. We're going to be, we're going to be pretty much throwing this entire thing out and capturing the spirit of it, because this is way too complicated. Way too complicated. But okay, first things first. Let's go ahead and open up a new sheet for breeding. So I'm going to insert a sheet after the current sheet. It's not going to be sheet 8. We're going to call this breeding and IVs. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and format paint this, just because I like this current font. There we go. That should be good enough. Okay, so before we get into the IVs, we'll get into, well, no. Should I do the IVs first? No, I'm going to do breeding first, just because the breeding part's going to be easier. Okay, breeding. And when I say easy, I mean this is going to be super easy. So, for breeding, first off, we're going to go by regular Pokemon rules, which is to say, you can only breed 2 Pokemon so long as they are in the same egg group. Now, what is an egg group? Well, if you're a Pokemon player, you already know what that is. If you're not a Pokemon player, you're going to learn. So, every Pokemon falls into one of these egg groups. They are, apparently, monster, water, or monster human-like. They're my favorites. I like the human legs. Water 1 and Water 3. Why they're ordered this way, I don't know. Bug, Mineral, Flying, Amorphous, Field, Water 2, Fairy, Ditto, Grass, and Dragon. Now, why there are 3 waters, I have absolutely no idea. And, of course, Blizzard says, other than Ditto, it can breed any egg group. And yes, I was going to get to that. Okay, you're getting ahead of me. I was going to get to that. Ditto can be the partner for anything, and I believe Ditto falls into the amorphous category anyway. So, anyone can, or you can breed any 2 Pokemon so long as they're in the same egg group. Although I may just condense like all the waters into one group, because I don't know why. So, Water 1 egg group. The things that are only in this egg group are the Polys, Polytoad? Never heard of that one. Mantine, Clampet, Huntail, there's a few of them. And then in this egg group and another egg group, Squirtles, Psyducks, Waters. I mean, I hate to say it, but like these are all just water Pokemon. I have no idea why there are 3 water groups. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really matter too much if you wanted to breed a Pokemon. If I were to take, say, this Froakie. I don't even know what a Froakie is, but whatever. When we look it up here, it will actually say what egg group it's in. This is in Water 1 egg group. And so, there you go. All you got to do is make sure they're in the same group, and you can breed them. Now, when we breed them, how are we going to make this work? Well, quite simply, we're going to need to have a male and a female. Obviously, they need to be in the same egg group. That's required. And then we're going to need to get the basic information out of all of them. So what is the information that we need? Well, we already have over here in our Pokemon conversion module this entire sheet. We have to fill in this entire sheet for the new egg. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's really not going to be, because so much of this is derivative. For example, armor class. How exactly are we going to get the armor class from our parent Pokemon into our child Pokemon? Well, it's simple. Armor class is derivative. Everybody has a base armor class of 10. Technically speaking, that's not entirely true, but everybody has a base armor class of 10, and then you add your dexterity, you add your natural armor, and everything else onto it, and it's derivative of other things. Which means we don't need armor class, we don't need our saves, we don't need... Well, the weaknesses will be determined by type. Speed is tied to size. Your melee attack is derivative of whatever your stage is and whatever your strength is, same as your combat maneuver, or your combat bonuses, your base attack bonuses, all this stuff. It is all derivative. So the only things that we are going to need are going to be the sex of your Pokemon, okay? So we're going to go to the egg, and we're going to say egg stats. And these are going to be GM only, because you will not know what is in your egg until you actually hatch the egg. That's the way it works in the game, and it's the way that it needs to stay in this module. Because if you knew what it was as soon as it was an egg, well, that would just kind of ruin everything. And Alden says, some of the water types are birds and stuff. Oh, the different water types categorized between the like fish water types, the amphibians, and the reptiles, etc. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, okay. It's already done for us. I don't need to worry about that too much. Like I said, you can go on to Bulbapedia. You can see what egg group it is. If it's in the same group, it's fine. If it's not in the same group, it's It's not fine. And so, there you go. Alright, anyway, getting back to the egg. So, oh yeah, and I forgot, if I don't switch to this every so often, it doesn't update. It's not updating anyway. This is so disappointing. So I switched back to my studio so I could get the chat to update on screen, but even the studio hasn't updated. YouTube Studio is just broken. It's unbelievably broken. So there's really no way that I can fix it either. So I mean, I guess if you're watching this on replay, just watch the chat and not the screen. Only thing I can think of. Oh hey, there we go. It updated everything at once. It's about time. And Blizz says, if you can sway it a bit, because in the games the female Pokemon dictate the species of the hatching. Do they? Okay, that's actually really important, because I was going to have that random. If you have a female Greninja, you get a female or a male Froakie. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You said that the female dictates the species of the hatchling. So if you have a female Greninja, that would give you a female or male Greninja, I thought? Am I missing something? I'm getting confused. Stop confusing me. Okay, if that's true, and I mean, I can look that up easily enough. Breeding. So, look, how to breed, locations, breeding rate, receiving the egg, what will happen, gender counterpart, incense, regional forms, others. Let me take a look. Inheriting natures, inheriting stats, passing moves down. All this is stuff that we're going to be doing. Let's just jump down here to passing moves down for a moment. Well, actually, no. Before we do that. Regional forms. No. Let's take a look at this. Incense to breeding. No. I just want regular breeding. Let's see. What will hatch? So, same species will always give you, you know, the offspring for the same thing. Ditto breeding, it will always be whatever the not Ditto was. Same evolution family breeding, so like an Armarouge or a Cerulege. Oh, and Alden says I have to go. Well, Alden, thank you for coming for this long. We'll still be here if you come back, so, you know, hopefully we see you then. I need you. This is going to be complicated. Anyway, if it's the same, if it's like one of those split evolutions, it'll come out the same thing. Same egg group breeding. So, the Infernape is a field and human-like. The Medicham is also a human-like, so the result was a human-like. No eggs discovered group, it doesn't make any. Different egg groups, it doesn't make any. Same gender, it doesn't make any. Nothing about this is actually telling me that it has to be the same as the female. Yeah, nothing in here is telling me it has to be the same as the female. I mean, I believe you. I haven't found anything to prove that wrong. But yeah, nothing has said that it has to be the female so far, so I might just go ahead and randomize that anyway. I might just randomize that regardless. Let's see. And Sussifrass. Tux! That must be Tux. I almost never get to see you. It's fantastic to see you here. And Blizz says, down to the Infernape. Hold on, let me get back to the Infernape. Okay, yeah, the Infernape is male, the Medicham is female. However, this is also pointing out that, you know, the Infernape is human-like, the Medicham is human-like, so it followed the human-like. I might just randomize it myself because I can make that rule. I can always make my own rulings here. And I think that I will here. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make it random. And Blizz says the Metatite is the base of Medicham. Yeah, I understand that. And like I said, I'm not sure if that's because it's female or if it's because it's the they're the human-like group. Because you can't get a field Pokemon if you don't have two field Pokemon. So is it because they're both, or because the Medicham is female, or is it because the Infernape is a field type? I don't know. I don't know for sure. And not knowing for sure, I can't necessarily use that as a rule. Alright, so, the egg stats, GM only, here's what we're going to do. And this is going to be just a lot of basically coin flipping, okay? It's going to be coin flipping. So, the Pokemon is just going to be a 1d2. So we need to know what the Pokemon is. We need to know what the sex is. Once we've got those, we just need its base stats. And that's just going to be strength and well, it's going to be strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. However, those actually should be settled by the base stats of the Pokemon. They're not necessarily going to be inherited. Because if we come back over here, the base stats for a Pokemon do not change. Like ever. That's why we can have static base stats. So I don't really need to worry about these being inherited. What we do need to worry about, though, are the IVs. And so... Right. So, I'm still going to keep these. The problem is these are going to be the IVs. Let me go ahead and just format this. There we go. We'll center this one, just so we know we're covering both these columns, and these are going to be the IVs. So here's how we're going to have to look at this. Here's how we're going to look at this. The base stats are not going to be affected, obviously. If you breed a Bulbasaur, its base stats are still going to be 4, 4, 4, 6, 6, and 4. Okay. And that's fine. That's not a big deal. The IVs, however, need to get passed down. And these, I believe, are going to come in the form of just like automatic bonuses upon breeding. Basically like extra points. The question is then going to be, how are we going to actually assign those? And so with that being said, since we don't need to combine their base stats, the Pokemon is going to be a 1d2 between the parents, and the sex will, of course, be a 1d2 between, the parents. Then we have to get into the IVs. Okay. I really thought that I had more time before we're going to get into IVs. This is going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. I'm going to go back and reread what Alden had said before. As soon as I remember where it was. I think it was in the general chat. It was. Alright, so I'm going to read this from the Discord. That's effort values, effort values, effort values. Here we go. IVs, individual values. Okay. So, using a level 50 Lucario example from earlier, if it had a perfect 31 points, it would mean 31 divided by 50 divided by 100, which equals 15.5, 16 rounded up. We always round down. How IV inheritance works: when two Pokemon breed, the baby will inherit the IV values from 3 of its stats from its parents. A specific stat, which the parent inherits from its random. The remaining 3 stats are randomly selected from 0 to 31 as usual. There is a held item called a Destiny Knot. When a Pokemon is holding the knot, its offspring will inherit the IVs from 5 stats instead of the default 3 from its parents. Okay, so that actually gives me some very usable information. More usable than I actually expected it to be. Because I think I'm understanding it in a different context now. So, by default, any Pokemon that you pick up is not going to have IVs, okay? It's going to have effort values, sure, but it's not going to have any IVs. Now, the IVs that we get, I think Alden said they're capped, but I'm going to look into these. List of moves, no. Pokemon breeding. Aggregate, here we go. Individual values. I need to look and see if there is like a maximum value for these. I don't think there is. I think it's going to be based a lot on the IVs. Generation 1 and 2. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to search for maximum. Okay. So, maximum appears on the page 4 times. And here it just says, do the calculation. It's possible to obtain a female Pokemon with high physical attack unless Pokemon is a member of an all-female species like Jinx or Chansey. Don't think that's going to be terribly helpful to me. Influence. Beginning with Gen 2, in-game trades in many games involve the received Pokemon having fixed IVs. This usually manifests as having a fixed set of IVs across all stats, or random IVs mixed with select IVs fixed at maximum value. Okay. And the last match. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, ally Pokemon in SOS battles will begin to have increasing numbers of guaranteed perfect IVs. As the chain of allies called continues to build up a maximum of 4 once the chain is level 30 or higher. That doesn't mean anything to me. Hyper Training allows a player to make a Pokemon's stats act as the Pokemon had maximum IVs. This does not actually change the IVs, so its true IVs are used for the purposes of blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is not helping. Okay. In that case, here's what I think we're going to do. We need to find a system. We need to find a system that is going to allow us to boil these down to some kind of bonus number that we can pass on to other Pokemon that is going to be balanced. We need these numbers to have at least some effect, but at the same time, we cannot break the game with them. So, for example, if I just allowed them to take their EVs and pass them down, well, then the result would be that I could have my Bulbasaur down here, if I come back here, who has 25 points in each because he has 17 points in most of his EVs. Well, if I just carried those over, then the result would be that you could have a total like 34 points, and that would just... that'd be awful. Or, to take this to the extreme, if you were to put all of your points into a single stat, and then breed the Pokemon, hopefully get the 100 points that you put into it into the same stat, and then add another 100, well, it would basically be a steroid Pokemon. And steroids are bad. Don't do steroids. So that's not going to work. I may need to have some kind of sliding scale on this one. If I were to divide by 10, then on average stats like these, because we always round down, the resulting Pokemon would just get a +1 into all of its stats. The minute that you got them over 20, it would be a +2. And Tuck says Roidmon. That's a Digimon, okay? If it ends with Mon, that's a Digimon. There probably is a Roidmon too somewhere. I don't know. I haven't looked for it. This is a Pokemon module, so I can't go looking for it. We have to stay on task. Actually, you know what? Dividing by 10 might be the best option. If we just did a simple divide by 10, if we did a very simple divide by 10, that means that when you bred your Pokemon, like if we were to breed this Venusaur, every single one of these EVs, and I'm just going to rename this to EV. There. Every single one of these EVs would turn into a +1 IV. And so, whatever the base Pokemon was, for example, since this is a Venusaur, if we bred it and got another Bulbasaur, well, the Bulbasaur's strength is only 49. It rounds down to a 4, which means that with the +1 IV, Bulbasaur would start off with a +1. So it would have a strength of 5. I do think that works. Now, +1 isn't much, but at the same time, if you were to continue breeding the Pokemon, I mean, that would... I think that would work. And of course, you could boost this further by simply putting more points into one thing. So again, if you were to fully train a single stat, okay, let's say that you're going to put all of your points into one stat, you would put everything into just, say, strength. And so your Venusaur would have a tackle like none other. You would be throwing like 49 dice for all of that. When you went to breed the Pokemon, we're going to take all of your EVs, divide them by 10. Now, if you put all of your points into, say, strength, then your strength would be 100 EVs, divide that by 10. If the Pokemon inherited the strength, it would be a +10. And that would be just absolutely huge. But rare. Well, I say rare, but it basically needs to be a 1 in 2. It's a coin toss. But since you don't know what your egg is going to get before it comes out, you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice. I'm not opposed to that, though. Is it overpowered? Yes, it is. Whatever Pokemon received a +10 to its strength score would be extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. And I see that we have Eric in the chat. Hello, Eric. It's good to see you here. I don't know if you've been here before or not, but it's a pleasure. And Tux says, all Pokemon power is measured in EVs. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Believe me, the joke was not lost on me. I saw it, and I did everything I could not to say anything about it. But every Pokemon, or all Pokemon power is measured in EVs. You can throw a Charizard and say, yes, my Charizard here, it has a total of 27 EV power. It's like horsepower, but EVs. So yeah, I think that simply dividing by 10 is going to be fine. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stick with that. IVs. These are going to be EVs divided by 10. And that will give us the values that we need. And so when we do this, I'll simply paste this down because it's all we're going to do is just divide these by 10, or 1d2 these. There we go. And if we have the EVs, then that's fine. Okay, we're going to go ahead and build a couple of Pokemon, and we're going to run this. And you'll get to help at home. So I'm going to need to copy over a couple of character sheets, and we're going to build ourselves a couple of Pokemon. First off, I'm going to need a couple of Pokemon. So what Pokemon are we building? I'll go ahead and let you pick the Pokemon that we're going to breed. They have to be breedable, though. So somebody's got to pick a Pokemon first, and then we got to find a compatible Pokemon. Alright, so I'm going to clear out all of this. And that way I can copy it over, because we're going to need a second one, obviously. We're going to build a couple of Pokemon here. I'm probably going to need to have like a mini sheet for breeding. Yeah, I'm going to need a mini sheet for breeding. So for this, I'm going to say breeding mini sheet. Again, it's going to be the Pokemon, the sex, and then for the IVs, I'm just going to grab this, copy and paste. I don't need this. Or this. Alright, since nobody picked one, I guess I'll have to pick one myself. So there are, how many Pokemon again? It's like over 1,000 now. There are 1,025. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to roll 1,025. Oh, Blizz saved me. Golduck and Blastoise. Okay, Golduck and Blastoise. So first things first, need to get some levels here. Level 4. It's not a gold duck anymore, now it's a side duck. I'm sorry. But the dice have spoken. Okay, and I don't know what sex it's going to be. And then Blastoise. I'll roll the dice again. 90! Okay, it's absolutely a Blastoise. I guess the sex doesn't really matter for us. That's not needed. What does matter is that it's a level 4 Psyduck and a level 4 Blastoise. Actually, I'm going to re-roll the Psyduck. This isn't going to work. Because a level 4 Psyduck literally cannot have IVs. 53. Okay, 53. And I'm just going to use the sex to hold this number. That's good enough for me. Need to get my head out of the way, too. Okay. Actually, I don't even need to have these big sheets. I can use one of these sheets for building the other Pokemon. So, for Psyduck, IVs, we're going to have 53 of them. Where should we prioritize these? I mean, we got to spread 53 points across all of these. What are they going to be? If I were to divide them evenly... Where's my calculator? 53 divided by 6 is 8. 6 times 8 is 48, which means it's 8 plus 5. If I were to do that, if I put 8 in each one, then Psyduck would not have any IVs to pass on, because divided by 10 and then rounded down, they would all zero out. So, I'm going to go ahead and assume that Psyduck is good at special attack. Kind of makes sense. Psyduck. You're in Gen 1, I know that much. Where are you? Did I pass it already? I don't think I did. Maybe I did? Yes, I did. I must have, because now I'm over 150. Charizards, Blastoises, bugs, birds, rats, Pikachu. There it is, Psyduck, or Golduck in our case. Okay, so Golduck has high special attack. And actually pretty good stats all around, to be honest. It's a little low in the dexterity, the speed, but otherwise, decent stats all around. So, if that's the case, here's what we'll do. We'll make sure to put 10 points here. That leaves us with 53 left. In fact, what we could do is... I'll put 10 points in everything, except for dexterity. And we'll just put the extra 3 points here, okay? So, oh, Alden's back. Hello, Alden. We're working on how we're going to be doing the breeding. So I figured out the IVs. Also, you're driving. Don't text and drive. That's just dangerous. Don't do that. Anyway, we figured out the IVs. Here's how they're going to work. We're basically taking the EVs that we are assigning and we're dividing them by 10. Once we divide the EVs by 10, it gives us a number that we can pass down to the next generation. So every generation of Pokemon that you breed should get some kind of bonus to their stats. And since it's divided by 10, if you try to breed a Pokemon too young, you're not likely to get any bonuses from it. And if you, like, power leveled and put all of your points into a single stat, the maximum you could pass on would be a plus 10, but only in that one stat, and because, you know, it's getting its genetics from both parents, with a 50% chance of passing on nothing. So I really think that this method of doing IVs is going to capture the spirit of breeding, and it's going to capture the mechanical advantages of breeding. Which is why we're doing this. I rolled a level 53 Psyduck, which is going to be a Golduck now, actually. Golduck. Which means that for the IVs, we divide all of these by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 3 divided by 10 is 0.3, and so this zeroes out. And the rest of these will come down to 1s, which means that Golduck has 1 strength, 1 constitution, 1 intelligence, 1 wisdom, and 1 charisma to pass on. Now, level 90 Blastoise. At level 90, Alden says, is there a cap? Here's the thing. I have not put a cap in yet. I don't think I'm going to put in a cap. If I was going to put in a cap, then it would not be possible to put all 100 of your EV points into a single stat to begin with. But I do think that that does a disservice to you as players. You're right. If I were to allow you to put all of your points into a single stat, I mean, the example that we did when we were here last time was we took a maxed out explosion move that did over 1,000 points of damage to everything in a certain radius. However, while that is incredibly dangerous and like wildly scary, that is the absolutely greatest abuse of the entire system that we could do. Is it absolutely horrifying? It is, but keep in mind that that Pokemon was also basically useless for anything other than a hand grenade. Okay, it barely had any hit points. It didn't have any other good moves. It wasn't very fast. I mean, that Pokemon was not going to do anything other than explode. So I don't think that I need to put in a cap, because I don't think that the cap is going to help anything, and I don't think exceeding the cap is going to help you. Now, what does this mean? This does mean that if we were to continuously level and breed Pokemon, at some point, we would have literal walking gods on the planet. Because with no cap, it means that we would technically be able to continuously breed generation after generation after generation of Pokemon, which get increasingly strong every single generation until nothing else can beat them. Oh, looks like Blizzard is also out of here. Well, I'm sorry you have to go. Thank you for coming, Blizz. It was good to see you, and take care. Anyway, back to the whole cap thing. The fact is that we don't have caps. If you were to breed generation after generation, you would eventually have these unbeatable walking gods. But there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, that is a lifetime achievement. Okay, you would have to spend so much time breeding the perfect Pokemon every single generation. And I know people do this, okay? Crazy people have done this in the games, and the games do have caps on them. In my game, it's going to be even slower, and so there's no way that you will be able to take the time to breed that kind of Pokemon. And there's a second caveat here too. Yes, it is possible that you could do it. However, it would be isolated to you. Because regular Pokemon are not going to get IVs. And so Pokemon in the wild will never be these godlike Pokemon. And even though we know that Pokemon are breeding in the wild, it's a thing they do, they're not going to be passing down traits that are going to make them absolutely, god tier. Why? Because even if we were to model it, and I'm not going to model it, but if we did, because it is all completely random, it's all going to zero out. I mean, this is why evolution takes millions of years. It's the same thing that happens with evolution in the real world. For the most part, all of your reproduction is going to zero out. It's only because some things are going to pop up just ever so slightly more than others that those traits end up becoming widespread. I mean, we, as humans, we have big thinky brains. But how many primates had to breed for the thinky brain to get passed on? It was billions. Possibly trillions. I don't know. It was a lot. And it took millions of years for it to happen. So we don't need to worry about that in our game. Our game is not going to be covering millions of years. So we're good there. I do think this IV system is going to work. Now, with our Blastoise, we still got to work out the numbers here. It's level 90, so it's got 90 EV points. If I divide that by 6, it's 15. However, Blastoise, if I was going to do this properly, I think, Blastoise has really high really high dexterity. Orange is dexterity. Wow, really high speed. And really high dark blue, really high charisma. So that's going to be defense, right? Special defense, right. Well, that's interesting. Okay, well, in that case, I can't believe I spelled charisma wrong. Boop, there we go. All right, so here's what we'll do. To make sure that we have IVs to pass on, I will put 20 points into dexterity and 20 points into charisma. All right, so that leaves us with 50 points left over. 50 points for the strength, constitution, intelligence, wisdom. If we wanted to make sure that we're passing on those as well, okay, and this is where we're going to get really, really strategic with this. If I come back here to look at the Blastoise, the next highest are going to be the yellow and blue. That's going to be special attack and strength. And the next lowest are going to be HP and pink. Wait, pink is dexterity. Okay, never mind. I got these wrong. Dexterity is pink. Wisdom. Defense is orange. Blastoise has really good defense. That makes more sense. I did think that was a bit weird. So that's a 20. Okay. Now. That makes a ton more sense. Okay, so yellow and light blue is strength and intelligence. We're going to put 10s in those. So 10 and 10. That makes sure that we've got those to put in. And that leaves us with, well, we had 90. This is 60. So we got 30 points left. Technically, we could put 10 points into each of those too. So 10, 10. And we got 5 points left over. We can make this 15 and 15. It doesn't change anything, but because of the way that we've done this, when we reduce them to IVs, this will be a 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, and 2. So you center those because it makes them a little bit easier to read. All right, so now that we've got this, now that we have this, we have all of our IVs set, and we're going to be breeding something. So it's going to be and I'm going to paste this down here. I am going to make the Golduck male. I'm going to make the Blastoise female. And we're going to go ahead and run this. And then we'll put together a new Pokemon. So now that we've got the IV mini sheets done, Pokemon. It's either going to be a Golduck or it's going to be either a Psyduck or a Squirtle. So it's going to be very simple. 1d2. What's it going to be? 2. 2 is Blastoise. It's going to be a Squirtle. Alright, same thing for sex. Because we only had 2 Pokemon, it's a 1d2. 1. It's going to be male. And now we get into the IVs, which will then translate immediately back into EVs. And for this, I am just going to go ahead and roll 6d2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. All right, so 2, 2 is going to be from the Blastoise. It's going to be 1 and 1, which means, thankfully, we got the better stat because the Golduck did not have a dexterity modifier, or did not have a dexterity IV. The Blastoise did. Already, we're getting better. The next two are 1, 1. They come from here. That's going to be a +1 and a +1. It's going to get the Wisdom of the Blastoise, which is a 2. The Charisma of the Golduck, which is going to be a 1. And just like that, we have the starting EVs for our Squirtle. And so now, when we go to make our Squirtle over here, we can say Squirtle. The experience is, of course, 0. The level is 1. The alignment doesn't matter because whatever. It's going to be small. The type, it's going to be water. Just straight water, I think. Is it just straight water? Yeah, Squirtle is straight water type. The initiative is going to be a +0 because it's not going to have any really good stats there. Senses, it's a water type, so it just has normal senses. Perception, so it's going to be a +0. But let's go ahead and fill these in. So, I don't know why this didn't copy over, but this is going to be base stats, EVs, and total. The base stats for Squirtle are 4. Speed is going to be 4. Constitution is going to be a 4. Let's see, light blue is going to be 5. Orange is going to be a 6. And blue is going to be a 6. There we go. There's our base stats. However, now, because we bred it, it's going to have starting IVs, which are going to get translated back into EVs, which is going to be a 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, not 32, just 2, and 1. Which means that if you were to catch a wild Squirtle somewhere, I don't know what it would have. It would have some kind of mishmash of these points. And otherwise, if you were to breed this one, you would starting out get 5, 5, 5, 6, 8, and 7. Now, does that mean that you're going to have any kind of special bonuses to begin with? No. No bonuses to begin with. Your speed is still going to be 20 feet because you're small. The melee attack is still just going to be 1d4. Or no, melee attack is still going to be a +0 because you're not going to have a base attack bonus yet. Melee damage is still going to be 1d4. You don't have a ranged attack. Your space is 5 feet. Your reach is 5 feet. You don't have any special attacks. You don't have any special abilities. You do have a swim speed, though. And so I need to put that into swim. What was that again? If we come to the type properties, water types. Here it is. Water types have a swim speed. It's going to be equal to their regular speed. So, swim 20 feet. You're not going to have any saves yet. Your armor class is going to be just... Well, it's going to be 11 because you're small. Let's see. Hit points, it's just going to be the 1d4. Your fortitude's a +0, reflex a +0, will's a +0. Okay, Alden is asking, speaking of bonuses, what about egg moves? Or are we going to use the Scarlet Violet version of egg moves? I haven't looked at that yet. I do recall that it said something about that. Right now, I'm just working on the stats, but we'll get into that in a moment. So, base attack bonus is going to be +0. +0. This is going to be 10, plus the rest of everything, so this is going to be 10. No feats, no skills, no ranks, no languages, and special abilities. The special ability of Squirtle is, what? Torrent. And Rain Dish, apparently, but Torrent. Well, I guess I can put this in here, too. I don't know what the hidden abilities really do. But I guess he has both of them, technically. Either way, I think it'll be fine. So, there we go. We have a decent-looking Squirtle. Okay, newly hatched, fresh out of the egg, still wet. But we have a Squirtle here. And already, at level 1, it is stronger than any other Squirtle that was not bred. Because again, if we were to look into like a wild Pokemon, remember how we had to sort through these, because if we took the Golduck at level 53 and equally spread its stats, all of these would have zeroed out. And that's why we had to do it this way, so that only Dexterity was a 0. So, again, wild Pokemon are going to end up zeroing themselves out. your Pokemon will be able to actually pass things on depending on how you have raised them. And Alden says, hidden abilities, that's another can of worms. It ties to breeding. You can use an ability patch to get one on a Pokemon directly, but they can also be inherited via breeding. You know, that's one thing that I probably should look into. Can they pass these on? Because Blizzard said that it was a Golduck and a Golduck and a Blastoise. Well, the Blastoise has the same abilities as Squirtle, which probably makes sense. What about the Golduck, though? Where was it? Scrolling. There it is. Golduck. So, Golduck has either Damp or Cloud 9 or Swift Swim. Alright, so here's what we're going to have to do. Abilities. Okay, we're going to have to add something in here. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to move it up here. Okay, so we still got it. Abilities. Abilities. Okay. It's going to be 1D, the number of abilities. And then it's going to be 1D parents. Okay, so, for example, if we come to Golduck here, and Alden says, okay, stop driving, it's all good, I'm safely typing all this down. That's fair. I'm actually really glad to hear that. Mind you, I used to text all the time while I was driving. Not that I was supposed to be driving in the first place, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. But you know what I did is I usually stayed off of, or once everything went to touchscreens, I stopped doing it. See, when I had an old Motorola Razr, I could text without having to look because I could just use the keypad. It would just be like, 111-22-3333-4488-7777, whatever. And once you had done that enough, you knew what you were typing, and you could literally type without looking. Once they introduced touchscreens, that went away. I miss it, though. I miss being able to do that. Anyway, though, Golduck here has 3 abilities. So, Damp, Cloud 9, or Swift Swim. So, we would come over here and say it's going to be 1D3. 1D3 is 1, so it's going to be Damp. Okay? So, when we come here, we're going to say it's going to be Damp. Hold on. And Blastoise is going to be a 1D2 because they had Torrent or Rain Dish. Right? Yeah, Torrent or Rain Dish. Now, this may not work out for me. I don't know. 1D2. It's 2, so it's going to be Rain Dish. Alden says, "Oh, they had a Motorola too. Yeah, they were nice." Also, wild Pokemon will never have hidden abilities outside of special locations. Okay, that's fair. But that would mean that the special abilities would be unavailable. Like, in general. And I don't like that. I think that they should be available. So I'm willing to put the hidden abilities into the wild Pokemon so that you can catch them and maybe get those precious special abilities. Because again, you're probably not going to be catching nearly as many Pokemon. You're definitely not going to be breeding as many Pokemon. And so, yeah, I'm going to put the hidden abilities in there just because I can. And JP says, my first was a Blackberry. I had a Blackberry too. It was so nice. And then they went the same way as everybody else with touchscreens. And they like ruined everything. Alright, anyway, so our Blastoise is getting Rain Dish. I have no idea what that even does. What does that do? Rain Dish. During the rain, a Pokemon with Rain Dish will regain 1/16 of its maximum HP each turn. Oh, cool. So it's like a grass Pokemon in grassy terrain. Cool. I like it. So, now that we've got that, we're going to go ahead and roll 1d2 again to see which parent it's going to get its ability from. 2. Which means that our Squirtle here is not going to get Torrent. It's just going to get Rain Dish. There we go. So we've got the ability set now too. Now, Alden had asked, what about inheriting moves? And the simple answer to that is, I have no idea. So that's what we're going to look for here. So inheriting stats, we've done that already. Okay, you're going to get the same base stats with every Pokemon, because those are fixed values. Your EVs will reduce into IVs, and your IVs will then directly translate back into EVs for your new Pokemon. And Alden's correcting me and saying not exactly. Grassy terrain heals indiscriminately of typing, except for flying and levitating. Oh, okay. Oh no, wait. I'm thinking of chlorophyll. I think actually chlorophyll Pokemon. I think they heal during bright light. Either way, grass Pokemon have something similar. I know they do. Inheriting natures, we don't need to worry about natures. The nature of our Pokemon is not going to be too important, I don't think. Oh god, unless it is. What if it is? Alright, hold on. I don't think this is important, but it might be. Okay, nature is a trait that each individual Pokemon has which influences how their stats grow and determines their flavor preferences. The mechanic was introduced in Gen 3. A Pokemon's nature is displayed on its summary screen from Heart Gold and Soul Silver onward. The stats affected by a Pokemon's nature is highlighted on their summary screens, and the increased stat is notated in red text. The decreased stat is in blue text. Right, okay, so no, this is not important to us. In the games, every Pokemon has a stat that it's good at, a stat that it's bad at. We are completely sidestepping that with our EV system. Okay, so nature has been thrown out the window. You can put your EVs where they go, and you get full value for your EVs no matter what. There is nothing that is going to be good or bad. Now that being said, okay, I could do it. I don't think I want to do it. I don't think you want me to do it. But I could do it if you wanted me to do it. So in this case, I really got to hear from you. Do you want to have natures in the game or not? Because if I was going to do it, I can very easily do it like this. I can simply say that a single stat will go up every level regardless of where you put your point. So if we were to roll natures and your Pokemon was going to get a bonus to, say, its speed and therefore its dexterity, it might get 1 dexterity point every turn. Then again, whatever it's bad at, it might take 2 points to give it one point there. And we can handle it very similar to how we do skills. The way skills used to be done, might even still be done, I'm not sure, is you have class skills. I mean, if you're a fighter, naturally you will have athletics or acrobatics as some kind of class skill. If you're a wizard, you're less likely to have that. As such, it takes more skill points to get 1 rank in athletics for a wizard than for a fighter. We could do the same thing here. I don't like doing it, though. I feel like it kind of circles back into that whole, they're encouraging you to breed more. They want you to go out there and find the best Pokemon. They want you to train the best Pokemon. They want you to breed the best Pokemon in order to get the best Pokemon. That's fine in a game where you can spend hours just catching and training and breeding. It doesn't work as well for us. And Alden says, could be a 10% increase or decrease. I'm not going to do that. Maybe an extra point every 5 levels or every 10 levels. And it's just an extra point, though, unless we dictate exactly where it goes. And how impactful would it be? Probably not much. I mean, if we were to do it, like they get an extra point every level, that would be very impactful. That would be 100 extra points over the course of the Pokemon's lifetime. So that's definitely out. Giving 1 every 5 or 10 levels, that's either an extra 10 to 20 points. Alden says you can also bypass it with mints. Right. I think I'm just going to skip this entire thing overall. You make your Pokemon however you want to make your Pokemon. You make your Pokemon however you want to make them. The nature thing is cool. I agree. But I don't think it's necessary for us. It's a little bit, just a little bit too complicated. So yeah, we're going to skip that one. And as far as, what your Pokemon likes or doesn't like, make it up yourself. I mean, you're free to determine what flavor preferences your Pokemon has. And if you don't want to determine what flavor preferences your Pokemon have, fine. Tell me, and I will just roll like a 1d6 or whatever and figure out exactly what your Pokemon's flavor preference is. And Alden says, Pokemon stats are a super complicated system. Yes! Yes, they are, and that is why we are doing this the way we are doing it. Like I said when we started with the EVs, this is one of the most complicated part of Pokemon, and this is what really separates the casual player from the hardcore Pokemon trainer. Because 95% of all Pokemon players will never even think of these things. It is only like that last 5% that really sit down and say, what Pokemon do I have? What are their stats? What do I have to EV train them for? Who am I going to breed them with? And it's kind of like, dogs. Yeah, people love dogs. I love dogs. You love dogs. We all love dogs, okay? almost everyone has had a dog in their life at some point. Either it's your dog or a family member's dog, whatever. But not everyone is a dog trainer. Not everyone is a dog breeder. Not everyone is actually tracking, okay, which dogs am I breeding here? What are their lineages? Okay, what am I going to do with the puppies afterwards? Which puppies are going to be the best ones? Which ones are the runts? Who's getting bred in the next generation? It is a very, very, like, vanishingly small set of people who do that. So, yeah, I don't think we need to involve the natures at all. And JP says, flavor sounds like seasonings. No, it's not that. So there are 5 flavors. There's spicy, dry, sweet, bitter, and sour. And in Pokemon, you will have, like, berries. And the berries are going to have different effects. The problem comes in, though, that the berries will also have different tastes to them. And so if you have a berry that has a certain effect that you want, but your Pokemon hates it, I don't know if it actually does something. I'm sure it does something if they eat something that's not if they eat something that is not to their liking. But something happens. Either way, they don't want to eat things they don't like. Which is fine. I can get behind that. I mean, I'm all for it. Alden just says, it affects their responses to berry flavors. Yeah. JP says it definitely sounds like a menu. It's not a menu. I mean, I get how it sounds like that. It's actually not a menu. But I don't care. Like I said, there's 5 of them here. I will say, okay, do you want to know what your Pokemon's flavor is? 1d5. Number 2. Okay? Your berry likes dry foods. It also says it doesn't matter for 90% of berries. What I'm saying here is, like, it doesn't matter for 100% of anything. So we're just gonna skip the whole nature thing in general. We're skipping the entire thing. Okay, so nature's done. Abilities, we already settled that. We are going to be just rolling randomly for all the abilities they have. If they only have one ability, then that makes that simple. But hidden abilities as well. Inheriting forms, not important for most things. Inheriting Pokeballs. I didn't know that was a thing. I don't care. I really don't care about what Pokeball your Pokemon ends up in. And for the most part, we're not going to care about that either. See, one of the nice things is that, like in Pal World, it doesn't matter what Pal Sphere you use to catch a Pal in, you never see the sphere again. And every time you do throw a sphere, it's always going to be blue. I feel the same way about Pokeballs. It's going to matter a lot what you throw, but once they're caught, it doesn't matter. Okay, so, with that being said, we were... Oh, breeding for shininess. If one of your parents is a shiny... in Generation 2, due to shininess being determined by DVs, the equivalent to IVs, they're passed down through breeding. It's possible for an egg bred from a shiny Pokemon to have a chance as high as 1 in 64 of being shiny itself. I'm going to scroll all the way down, though, to 9. The Pokemon Egg Shiny Roll Bug from Generation 8, which affects the effectiveness of Shiny Charm while breeding, still applies. The sparkling power provided by sandwiches does not affect the chance for it to be shiny. So let me go back to 8. Generation 8, the Matsuda method now generates 6 additional personality values, which would make it more likely to hatch a shiny Pokemon. However, due to a bug, while breeding the original, roll is skipped if any bonus rolls are applied. As a result, the Matsuda method has the same probability of producing shiny Pokemon as it does in Generation 7, both with or without the shiny charm, while the shiny charm alone has a lower chance of producing a shiny Pokemon than it does in Gen 7, or wild encounters do with the shiny charm alone. All it says, shiny does not affect breeding in Pokemon. I mean, according to this, it kind of sounds like it does. There is a small, very, very small chance of actually getting a shiny Pokemon if you breed a shiny Pokemon. Very small, but possibly. I mean, I don't think that there's anything we really have to do here. I think what we can do really, really simply... Oh, okay, hold on. Alden says the Matsuda method basically stats breeding 2 Pokemon from different language games will have a boosted shiny chance. Shiny parents, I mean. Okay. What I think we can do is basically... we're talking like 1 in 64 here, okay? So the Matsuda method generates this at 6 divided by 4,096, or 1 in 683 chance of a shiny Pokemon. These numbers are just, like, incomprehensibly small. I feel like I could best replicate this with a D100 roll. If, okay, and just stick with me here, if one Pokemon is shiny, I will let you roll a 1D100. And if you roll 100, you get a shiny Pokemon. If both parents are shiny, I will let you roll 2 D100s, and if either one of them come up a 100, you get a shiny Pokemon. And Alden says it is not 1 in 64, it's 1 in 4,096, which means that my D100 is being ridiculously generous. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, okay, first off, IVs. Alden says, Alden says if you used a D1000, it would still be better than anything the game ever had. I mean, fair. That is extremely fair. I'm going to go with the D100, though, just because, you know, it's like an actual die. And I try to use real dice whenever I can. Since we're using Roll20, I have the ability to roll fake dice, virtual dice, dice that, you know, legitimately cannot exist. But if I can use real dice, I try to. And by the way, in case anybody questions my rolling a D3 earlier, there is a D3, okay? It is a D6. You roll a D6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's simple. And technically speaking, your D6 is also your D2, evens and odds. So, still using real dice. There is no D1000, I think. Then again, I say that somebody out there has probably made a 1000-sided die that I just don't know about. And I have no idea how you would even tell what it rolled, because it would be a ball. It would just be a ball. The only way to actually roll it and determine what it is would be to have a completely level surface and some kind of marker to tell you exactly what the top number was. I'm not even sure how you would do it. Anyway, abilities. This is going to be 1d, the number of abilities. And if shiny, 1d 100. Okay, so we got the shiny value now in 2. But we're still making our way down to moves. And where was that? Oh, wait, no, it was before everything. Here we go. Passing moves down. So Alden was asking about this, and I don't know anything about it. The moves obtained by a Pokemon when hatching are as follows. I gotta scroll this down a little bit so that you can read too. By default, a baby Pokemon will start with any moves that it learns at level 1, obviously. They will know all moves that are level 5 and below in their learn set. That's in Generation 2 and 3. If both parents know a move that that baby can learn via leveling up, it will inherit that move. Okay. Prior to Gen 6, if the father knows any moves that are TMs or HMs in that game and in Crystal, the baby is also compatible with, it will inherit that move. If a Pokemon species that is gender unknown, such as Magnemite, breeds with a Ditto, the resultant baby will inherit any compatible TM or HM moves that the non-Ditto parent knows. If the father or starting Generation 6, the mother knows any specific egg moves the baby can learn, the baby will inherit the move. From Pokemon Emerald onward, if either parent is holding a Light Ball, a bred Pichu will know Volt Tackle. Volt Tackle cannot be passed down as a normal egg move. If this would result in the baby possessing more than 4 moves, the moves take priority in the order listed. Volt Tackle, the mother's egg move, father's egg move, TMs, HMs, inherited level up moves, and default. Wow. Okay, that's a lot to go through. JP says, watching on phone, I can't read anything. That's fair. I can barely read it. So, like, I make no secret that I'm basically blind. Hold on, I have a tape measure right here. Hold on. See? Tape measure. I am, and I'm gonna measure this. I am about 17 or so inches away from my monitor, and I can barely read my chat. Okay? To say nothing of like these actual pages that I have to read from. These wikis, it's difficult. I'm about 1.5 feet away from the monitor, and this is like my maximum distance and still be able to read anything. I usually have to lean in pretty close. So I'm with you on that one. I can barely read too. Let's see. Alden says, I did not know about the baby learning moves from both parents. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have to work on this a bit. Alden says, yes, I do lots of Pokemon breeding. That's why I know a fair bit on the topic. That's fair. Like I said, most people will never, ever go through any of this. That subset of people who are like serious Pokemon trainers is vanishingly small. Obviously, you are part of that. Which at this point, like, I am so thankful for. And JP says, I should really have a bat avatar. I'm not a bat, though. I mean, I'm cute like a bat, but I'm not a bat, okay? House cat. Although flying would be cool. Either way, still, house cat. Okay, so we really do have to look at this very carefully because there's several things here that that we need to address. So starting in Gen 9, a Pokemon with an empty move slot holding a Mirror Herb during a picnic can inherit compatible egg moves from other Pokemon in the picnic regardless of egg groups without the need for hatching a new Pokemon. I don't even know what that necessarily means. JP says, without Alden and Blizz, this would take a lot longer. Yes, it would. And Alden, you are welcome, okay? You are incredibly welcome. Okay, so moves. There's we're gonna sit down and have a little bit of a wrap here. There's a lot of things that we got to take into consideration here. So, for example, when they're talking about if both parents know a move, the egg gets to also inherit the move. Keep in mind that in every version prior to 9, which is Scarlet Violet. I mean, Alden said you could do this in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, but I never saw that or figured that out. So, in every other version, you could only know, okay, air quotes. Can you hear the air quotes? You can only know 4 moves. Literally, if you try to learn another one, it says, learn this move and forget this move. Which means that if you wanted to teach your egg Flamethrower, both of your parents needed to have Flamethrower as an active move. And if they did, then your little Charizard could be born knowing Flamethrower. However, starting with Scarlet Violet, you no longer needed TMs to recall a move once you've already learned it. You could swap them out at will. And as such, I don't know what counts and what doesn't count as a known move anymore. Because technically speaking, they're all kinda known. And so I don't know. What I need to think about this one because this is super complicated. And I'm really, really trying to uncomplicate this thing. You have no idea. Because in reality, if we were gonna do this, the best way to do it would probably be this. We're going to be borrowing from the Scarlet Violet way of doing this, okay? In Scarlet and Violet, you can recall any move that you already know, and we can do that too. I am treating my Pokemon, and your Pokemon, I am treating them a lot like wizards. Now, wizards have a spell book. And the thing about wizards is that they will always have more spells than spell slots. And so, every single morning, before they start their day, a wizard must choose their spells. Now, in general, every good wizard player, and yes, I will emphasize every good wizard player, will have a set of default spells that they will carry with them on the daily basis. This prevents them from having to take the time every morning to figure out what spells they actually want to carry. And they can switch out the ones that they need to on a situational basis. Our Pokemon are going to be the same way. You are going to only have 4 moves. You are going to know a lot more. And so, every morning you will pick the moves that you want to use. But what does that say for our breeding? Now, Alden has left me a bunch of comments here. Alden says the big one is egg moves, though, because there is no way to get these moves on these Pokemon normally. All right, we'll look into those. JP says, grew up with a friend whose parents ran an emu farm. The eggs are huge. Use them for the annual Easter egg hunt. They were also very tasty when scrambled. You know, I would like to try one of those big eggs one of these days. I like eggs. I would not mind having an emu or an ostrich egg at some point in my life. I wonder how you crack them, though. I can only imagine the shells have to be equally large. Or rather, equally thick. You know. You know how that goes. Let's see. Alden says, no, the known move technically refers to the 4 moves. The term forget is still used as Scarlet and Violet, so by that logic, Pokemon moves are still forgotten. Okay, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. If that's the case, if we're going to go with that, then we'll keep the wizards, we'll keep the rules the same way they are. And JP says, you're a wizard, Harry. I am a wizard. And I am Harry. Tux says, so how do evil wizards choose their spells? Well, they have them on a scale of most evil to least evil. Okay? And obviously an evil wizard chooses the most evil spells. And at the top of every evil wizard spell list is the spell Rust. Okay? So it's always Rust, and then whatever else you want to pick. And some people are like, wait, Rust? That's not a spell. How is that a spell? That's not in the book. It's like, no, it's not in the book. However, Rust monsters have a special ability. It's in fact a magical ability to destroy any metal they come in contact with. And if it's a special ability that a monster has, it can technically be a spell. So, there's that. Alden says, sent an image on Discord showing the term forget a move is still used. Alright. Discord. Oh, yeah, I guess it is still in there on the menu. I literally never touched that because I was afraid that something would go away. Okay, so yeah, how are we gonna do that? Well, if the known moves, even in Generation 9, refers to the 4 moves that are known, then that is super simple. So I don't want to get into if it's known by TMs or it's known by anything else. I mean, technically speaking, we could have it so that they would learn that. But here's my problem. Like, it says if it's a move that can be learned by level up. Well, there are moves that are learned by level up. This is not what I wanted. There are moves that are learned by level up that are not necessarily learned by the other Pokemon. So, for example, Generation 9, Blastoise is going to learn Hydro Pump, okay? Hydro Pump. Super simple, okay? Every water Pokemon basically learns Hydro Pump at some point, right? However, Squirtle. If I come down here to Squirtle and look at all the things that it learns by leveling up, oh my god, Squirtle actually does learn Hydro Pump. At level 33, but it actually does. Okay, never mind. I think I just solved my own problem. I guess there is, like, no move that they would learn later on that they can't get while they're younger. Okay. I'm good with this. So I can see a couple of ways to go about this, all right? There's a couple of ways that I can think of. So sit with me for a moment here, and that's what I did. Sit with me for a moment here, and let's just think about this. Number one, per the rules, if both parents know a certain move, that move can be passed down to the child Pokemon. And Alden says there are. Obviously, Sprigatito can't learn Flower Trick. So, yeah, you're definitely right about that. Flower Trick is a unique move, though. At least I think that's the way it's phrased. Let me Flower Trick. Alden says also, Honedge cannot learn King's Shield from a fully evolved Aegislash. Okay, signature move is the one that I'm thinking of. So it is a signature move. If I look at signature moves, there are a lot of them. So Beedrill apparently has Twin Needle, although that doesn't seem to be the case in 9. Let's see. Pikachu has Volt Tackle, so does Raichu. Meowth has Payday. All the Meowths have Payday. Primeape has Rage Fist. Kadabra has Kinesis, but apparently that went away in 9. So I guess something else must have also learned Kinesis and it's no longer a signature move. In fact, I could even look into that. Kinesis. It is a Psychic-type move in Gen 1. It is the signature move of Kadabra and Alakazam. But if I come down here... No, it's still only learned by Kadabra and Alakazam. Why is it not considered a signature move in Gen 9 then? Is there a TM for it? Should actually say right here if there is. Introduced, appeal, jamming, blah blah blah. Why is it no longer considered a signature move? Let's see. Alden says, oh yeah, Magikarp and Beldum, these two Pokemon learn almost 0 moves until they evolve, so they really suffer. Alakazam is not in Gen 9. That's probably why. It's not? I mean, that's a pretty good reason, actually. So the move strip doesn't exist. Yeah, that's a good reason. Okay, either way, so actually, I think that I can make this really, really simple. Pokemon cannot inherit signature moves. Which is probably true in the first place. I don't think the signature moves can be inherited at all. So, yeah, we don't even have to worry about those then. So, again, I'm going to go back to, I still see 2 ways to go forward doing this. Number 1, a Pokemon will be able to learn any move so long as both parents know it at the time of breeding. Now, that should actually be a lot easier than it sounds, because since you can pick your moves every single morning, if you have 2 Pokemon that you're going to breed, make sure that they both have identical lists, and when you breed them, they should come out with all the same moves. Should be that easy. The alternative is Remember what we did with the abilities. So abilities is going to be a 1D number of abilities. At which point we're then going to choose between the parent which ability are they going to get from the various parents' abilities. We could do the same thing with moves. You're going to have a list of moves. And in that list of moves, you will be able to just simply say, I have 17 moves. And when the Pokemon is bred, we can simply just say, because it's going to have, moves, we can just say move 1, move 2, move 3, move 4, and we'll pick which parent it's going to inherit the move from, roll 1d, the number of moves that parent has, and get a randomized sampling of all the moves that parent knows. Now that would essentially preclude any moves that it would otherwise know. Aside from, whatever moves that it's going to get at level 1. So if you're breeding, let's say 2 of these Machamps, okay? 2 Machamps. And they're level 54s, so they have all of these abilities available to them. We would roll, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we would basically just roll 1d14 for each of their moves, because it's 2 Machamps, obviously, equal levels, everything like that. We would roll 1d14 for each of their moves, and so your newly hatched Pokemon would come out with a mixture of all of these moves. I feel like that is a little bit overpowered, though. Because, again, when we're looking at how these moves are going to work, and we have to reference back to our move list here. So the power of a move is going to be the bonus dice for a move is going to be the power of the move divided by 10. If we had a level 1 Pokemon with Dynamic Punch, your level 1 Pokemon, since this is a power 100 move, would be rolling 10d4. That's kind of a lot. It's a little broken. And I think that that's a problem. I think that's a big problem. So I don't think we're going to go with that. I think that's a bad way to do this. Instead, I think we'll go with the rules as they were written when it comes to passing them down. Forgetting, TMs, forgetting all that stuff. If both parents know it, then I think the offspring can learn it. Now, since you get to pick your moves, at the beginning of every day, we don't need to necessarily worry about what are they going to come out of the egg with. Because you'll simply be able to pick whatever you want. If you have 6 moves available at level 1, you can pick whichever 4 you want to be using. So, inherited moves. If both parents have the same move equipped at the time of breeding, the offspring will be born with that move known. There. And that should take care of that. So we can still have the overpowered moves, actually. It's just that you're going to be required to have 2 Pokemon who have the same move, have it equipped at the same time, and, you know, obviously be of sufficient level to have had it in the first place. Now, of interest, okay? Of interest here. Keep in mind that when we're playing, or when you're playing Pokemon, the video game, you are alone. Now, I know that obviously there are, you know, ways that you can interact with other people. There's like the Pokemon Link, and there's the different Pokemon nets and things like that. And with Scarlet and Violet, you were actually able to play multiplayer with other people. But in large, you're playing alone. When we're playing on the tabletop version, you will not be alone. You'll be playing with a party of people. I mean, you could play it alone. This module will actually lend itself to being played alone the most. But in general, you're not going to be alone. You'll be with other players. Which means that technically speaking, your breeding pool is going to be a lot more diverse. Kinda. In the Pokemon games, you're going to have dozens to hundreds of Pokemon in your boxes, so there's that. However, you'll have a whole bunch of other people's Pokemons that all you have to do is simply ask, and if everything works out together, you can breed your Pokemon with your friend's Pokemon and get an egg that way. I think that should work out really well. And so if you're looking to train a certain move into a certain Pokemon, just make sure that your Pokemon knows it, your friend's Pokemon knows it, and you're done. It's great. Fantastic. Alright, so with that being said, we've got inherited moves. Is there anything else that we have to do with breeding? Let me go back up to the top here, take a quick look, because I'm out of time. Hatching eggs. Okay, hatching eggs in the games is normally done by via walking. I'm not going to do that. With my eggs, I'm going to have simple countdown timers. It'll be fine. I will roll the hatching time of the egg secretly, and your egg will hatch when I tell you it hatches. So if you want to sit still in one place and wait for it to hatch, that's fine. If you want to continue on your version and wait for it to, or on your quest and wait for it to hatch, that's good too. But they will have their own timers. Inheriting stats we did, inheriting natures we skipped, inheriting abilities we did, inheriting moves we did, inheriting shininess we did. We're done. We're done. All right, so I'm going to call that a success. What are we doing next time then? So we've got breeding done. And Alden says flame body doubles hatch rate. Well, we'll deal with that when we get to it. Also, Tuck says when a Pokemon is bred, apply butter. I think you do that before they're bred, actually. Anyway, Alden says that's an ability with an out-of-battle effect. There's very few of those, I assume. Anyway, next things that we're doing. The only things that we really have left to do are friendship and evolution. Friendship is going to be super important because it has so many effects. Evolution, we only really need to cover the weird evolutions, so we'll start with that next time. I think we'll start with the quirky evolutions and work on those because I don't think there's too many of them. And then we'll work on friendship. And once we've done that, we're basically done. So, realistically, hopefully speaking, not that one. I think we're almost done with the Pokemon module. I'd say there's maybe 2, maybe 3 sessions left in this one, and we'll be done with Pokemon and ready to play. So, again, if you are enjoying this and you want to see more of it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon that we get notified every time we do this. It's the same time every week, but, go ahead and do that anyway. If you enjoy, or if you know somebody else who's also into Pokemon, and you want to share this with them, or if they're just into tabletop games in general, then share this video with them. If you want to leave a like on it because you like what we're doing, go ahead and do that. I like likes. Everybody likes likes. You can do that. You want to leave a comment, you can do that too. If you're going to leave a comment, though, join the Discord. Okay, we have one. Let's use it. It's there for a reason. Alden says, not sure about that. There is a number of them. The evolution methods, I mean. It's not that there's a number of evolution methods. It's the weird ones. Okay? If your Pokemon evolves because you feed it a stone, there's nothing weird about that. Feed your Pokemon a stone, and there you go. What I'm talking about is the Pokemon that say it will only evolve at twilight during a full moon while it's raining. Okay? Those are the ones that we have to tackle. There can't possibly be that many of them. So, I'm going to need to find a list of those, and so we can go through them. Anyway, though, join us on the Discord. Let me know, especially on the Discord, go to the Behind the Screen channel. Let me know what games you want to play and what your availability is. As soon as I have enough people, I will start that game. So if you want to get on the Pokemon game, go to the Discord now. Okay? Go to the Behind the Screen channel, tell me I want to play Pokemon, and this is when I can play. Do that. And as soon as I have 4 people available, this game will start. So, do that. I hope to see you there. If not, I hope to see you next week when we do, Evolution. And until then, thank everybody for coming, and take care.